All right. All right. We are back. We are back. Welcome to Monday, September 15th, 2025. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to the AGF podcast. That's the podcast of the Home Education Foundation. The Home Education Foundation is the organization that was started in the early 1990s by the beloved Brenda Dickinson and her husband Craig Dickinson, just shortly after helping get a bill passed through the legislature that would make home education legal for parents to choose as an option to directly teach their own children as they see fit, set their own educational standards, and have authority over their educational choices. And we were very grateful for that. Brenda has been the voice of parents in the Capitol since the very beginning, since the 1980s. Over 40 years, that's 4 decades of being the voice of parents in the Capitol to fight for educational rights, empower parents with authority over their educational choices. And at every turn, when a good idea would come to threaten that authority, she would speak up and hold the line. And that is what the Home Education Foundation does today as we carry forward her legacy. And recently we had our match campaign, our donation match campaign, where a home education family in the state of Florida challenged other home education families to raise $6,000, and they would match that $6,000 with their own. And the support was epic. Almost down to the wire, the last minute, parents came through, and the parents for the free state of Florida and the Home Education Foundation came through and met the challenge, and now they are one of our top sponsors, and we're proud to show this badge to commemorate that and to honor those parents. Thank you for your support. We love you, and we're so grateful to have you in our corner as we hold the line today, and we're thankful for our other top sponsors, so we'll show them and say thank you to Arete, FPEA, that's the Florida Parent Educators Association, Fisher Precious Metals, and TBHC Group. And here we are today. Hello, Brenda.
Good morning. Oop, I did it. Afternoon.
Hey, I'm not the only one. Yay. Yay. I'm not the only one. It's finally happened. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good, good. And Crystal, I'd ask how you are, but for the sake of everyone else listening, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, great. I don't want to be too somber today, and there's the elephant in the room. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of it. I think everyone knows about Charlie Kirk. It's worldwide. Everyone is looking at it and contemplating the ramifications of it, what it means. I don't want to pivot on it too hard. I didn't know him, and we weren't completely connected, though I did watch a lot of the content that he put out and how he worked with young people. So I was very, very aware of it. And it was very discouraging when I saw it happen. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I don't want in any way for this to seem as if we're using him in any way to pull attention. So I just want to say that up front. But it is something that can't be ignored. It's something that is probably one of the biggest, most impactful things to happen in our country, I would argue, since the founding of it, to be honest. His impact was so widespread, and he was so in tune with the younger generation that he has had an across the board, not just one community, not just one section of people that he was their champion, but many, 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 many voices of a younger generation looking for answers, and extremely impactful. I've had disagreements. Yeah, Kim says he was this generation's MLK. I think it's more significant than even that. I've had disagreements with people on different sides of the aisle. in conversations, I know which direction they're coming from, and we disagree. And I never imagined that those disagreements were leading to this. I simply thought that we were arguing about the best way to achieve the common end or the common goal. And I'm not sure. I see this as a big moment of darkness, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And I say this because I think that it's very easy to get lost in the pain of the moment, or how it hurts, or what we're feeling, and to want to rectify that. And it reminds me of, was it the third law of motion? Isaac Newton's third law of motion: an object in motion will remain in motion until acted upon. Or, no, that's the other one. The third one is a force remains until, no, it's an opposite but equal reaction. I feel really scatterbrained at the moment. I feel that the reaction here may be opposite but equal, and I think it needs to just be firm and still. I think we need to center, refocus, go inward, and understand what this means with clarity before we make any particular steps. Julie says he was brilliant in his ability to respond to others. He was. And it's a call for us all to step up and learn to speak and defend truth and freedom. I couldn't agree more. I think you'll be encouraged hopefully you'll be encouraged when this is over. I think we must understand our freedoms and rights. That's critical. For the home education community, especially in Florida, there's very important things that are significant that are also easily taken for granted. Just the same way that a discussion where we're disagreeing but having a civil discussion can be easily taken for granted. Our freedoms and rights and how to articulate those, thank you, Julie, that's critical. To understand freedom and rights. Freedom by its very nature is chaos. It means I have every choice available, even the choices to self-destruct. Those freedoms, that's the pure end of freedom. And obviously, freedom, I guess like alcohol, must be enjoyed responsibly. Meaning we must understand, as we come closer together, what it looks like as we set aside our freedoms intentionally sometimes to discuss. I can say anything I want. I can do anything I want, but then there are borders, boundaries, and guardrails. We must understand what those freedoms and rights look like. We also have to understand the law. I have the right to homeschool. I have the right to homeschool, sort of. In Florida, we have the Parents' Bill of Rights, and you have the right and authority over the choices and educational choices, but we have to understand how to say it. In Florida statute, it's called home education. That's the choice that we have. Well, we're unschoolers, or we're homeschoolers, or we do it a different way. That's fine, but then you need to know that you're a private school student. You have to actually, we have to actually understand what these freedoms are, how they're defined, how to articulate them. And we can't be idle. We must avoid using excessive force, but stand resolute. We have to fall in love with truth and facts. And we must always understand what our true mission is. The Home Education Foundation's true mission is to protect parents' authority over educational standards, to protect home educational freedoms, and to empower parents to self-govern. That's our mission. We're not a left-wing organization. We're not a right-wing organization. We are a freedom organization. We are a parents-first organization. We are an educational freedom, a do-it-yourself. You should be free to self-govern. Education is a part of that. What we as home education parents have to be mindful of, we need to get involved in local politics. We must get involved in local politics. We must get involved in school board meetings and have a voice. We must speak up. We must declare and promote parental authority. We must declare and promote self-governance. We must be watchful over the legacy of home education in the state of Florida and protect it from those who would seek to control it or profit. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. Parents' freedom and choices and authority is critical. We must welcome newcomers. I think this is critical. This is absolutely critical. We must welcome newcomers. There's a lot happening. School choice, this popular trend has expanded homeschooling and school choice. And in Florida, that's blown up significantly. Lots of new programs, lots of new people, innovative ideas popping up left and right. And very early on, PEP parents were told, you're not real homeschoolers. We have got to be very careful about this. We need to welcome newcomers to home education and show them how we have been self-governing. Show them the ways, show them the beauty of it, the benefits, and the freedoms. We must speak life into people who are tired. We must speak encouragement into people who are scared and fearful. Maybe they don't have the courage. Maybe they don't think they can do it. Some people think there's no way they could do it without a scholarship. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. You 100% can. You can. You don't need it. You don't need it. It is a blessing. It's a benefit. But it is not a necessity. It's not a need. We have to understand that difference. And we have to learn how to speak encouragement into people who speak fear or are worried. Come around them with community. Show them hope. We must speak hope to the mothers. Home education for the longest time, especially since I can remember, has been the duty of the moms. It's just the way I've always seen it. The moms are here. The moms are at FPEA, and they're looking around at all the different curriculums, and God bless them. They are doing their dead level best, and I see them, and I see dads pushing carts, and I see dads holding bags and staring off into corners of the room. We must speak challenge to our fathers. I'm going to say it. Fathers, we have to lead. We have to wake up. You're not principal and she's not teacher. I know I've heard that so many times. But fathers, you are school board. You are superintendent. You are principal. You are teacher. You are curriculum writer. Moms, you're amazing. You are amazing. You're wonderful teachers. You speak life into those children. You encourage them. You open their eyes. You sit there for the aha moments and you grab them and you make memories, and we call it a portfolio. You're amazing. Fathers, we've got to step in and step up. Together as parents and as a home education community, we must be light for the benefits that come from our freedoms and our own self-governance. I see articles constantly talking about homeschoolers this and that, and oh, they're unschooling and their kids can't even read, and like all of these, the accusations are never going to end. And the attempt to control the minds of our youth is real. Parents, you stand in the gap. They are your children. And we stand with you. The Home Education Foundation stands with you to protect the rights, to educate your children as you see fit in the free state of Florida. That's our mission. That's our goal. That's what we do. And we are invigorated and firm and focused. Kim says, we stand on a platform of educational freedom, and that includes directions and paths for families that look different than the one we choose for our own. That's correct. There's a lot of differences, beautiful differences. In our home, we have curriculum. Crystal has plans. We put together a day, And when character moments come because something breaks down, all plans are off. All bets are off. For us, character's first. Character goes first. Critical thinking and truth are second, and resilience, being resolved, never giving up, building that tenacious spirit, that's third. Those are our three guiding principles. Your family may have different ones, but those are ours. Find yours. Find your core philosophy for your homeschooling. Set your standards as parents. Know what they are. Have that guiding light, and then let that light shine to others so that they can see the benefits. This is why we have to be involved in local politics. We have to be involved in school board meetings, and we have to speak up. Not because we're crazy fringe people with wild ideas and my kids run barefoot all day long, free as a song, but because we believe in them, we love them, we want to educate them, and we believe that we can, and we have the right to. And let the benefits of that speak for themselves. Julie, I think you'll be excited. Today I have been thinking about this for a very long time. But the first steps of this have been put in place. So in our Discord today, I created a category called debate. And it is a very important service. I won't say a service. It's a very important aspect, I think, of what we're doing here to help promote home education freedoms and critical thinking, and to be able to defend yourself with words, to be articulate. The channel includes a text channel where we'll put in topics. The topics will be sourced from everything from local articles or local issues. We'll have links to statutes and constitutions that amendments or sections that will be relevant to particular topics. And the goal is to allow our youth to get in and see some of the current events and current issues that we're dealing with, and to be able to weigh in on them, to be able to go back and forth and discuss them. The rules of engagement, there is a voice channel where once a month, I'm hopeful that we can host a live debate and let them talk and communicate with one another. And similar to a UFC arena, there are all styles of fighting are welcome. So if you bring Lincoln Douglas, or you bring policy debate or public debate or other types of debate, if you're particularly schooled or that's what your co-op has been practicing, that is fine. That is fine. But there is no set standard in this octagon. This is what I would call street debate. You must adhere to the rules of logic, and there will be someone to listen and moderate and guide. But logical fallacies, reasoning, critical thinking, citing sources, slowing down on sources to truly understand them as cited, glean from them what they really do mean, and then apply it. Those are the kinds of things that this will be targeted at. If you go back to your co-ops and you engage in a formal style of debate, that's perfectly wonderful. My call here is I would love for leaders in co-ops, communities, homeschool communities, to volunteer to be a part of this, to help throw in ideas for debate topics. You can come. I can set you up with a moderator tag, and you can help. The more, many hands make light work. This isn't just the Jason Crawford Discord. This is the Discord for the home education community here in Florida. And to develop those young minds, let them tangle, let them grapple, and then adhere to rules of logic and reasoning to put forth people who can critically think and stand on their own 2 feet in a conversation. There's not a channel for this yet, but underneath this, there will be a channel for a reading list. So you can put a recommended reading, whether it's about rhetoric or logic or logical fallacies or something that you liked. I particularly am looking for students to put their recommended reading here, and what underneath it you can put something that you learned from it or gained from it as a benefit, why you thought this particular book helped you understand something about logic or reasoning. And I would love to hear that from you. I would love to see that. And my hope, my vision casting moment here, is that we find a senator or representative to sponsor a day at the Capitol in which to host a live debate and invite some of the legislators to be there and experience it and turn it into an annual tradition. Teens for the Free State of Florida. That's the vision here. And that's the direction that we're going, to raise up a generation that can think for themselves, think critically, and stand on their own feet. All right, Brenda. I've talked a lot. I've said a lot of things. What's on your mind?
Well, I think that one of the things that's on my mind is thinking about the characteristics that were exemplified with Charlie Kirk. And one of the things that really stood out to me is the fact that he was so well read, and he could quote history, he could quote the scriptures, he could back up his points with documentation that would prove his point without it just being a random opinion.
Correct.
And he could do that very quickly because he had such a grasp of it. And I think that probably in home education, our students are better read because it's not an assignment. It's something that we embrace as parents. But what are you going to learn off video games? What are you going to learn by doing? And I know I'm hitting home here, but I'm not picking on you particularly, but I just see in other teenagers that I'm around, how they live day by day to see how many hours they can spend on the internet or in gaming with their friends. I don't think developing your knowledge of history and laws and the scriptures particularly is a top priority for them. But I think the example that we saw, and I've been watching for days, just clips of responses that Charlie Kirk would give to the questions that were posed. It wasn't he had to argue the other person down, because he was using facts and history and scripture to respond to their question. And I think that's such an important thing to take away. Because of that, he had a tremendous impact on the world, not just the United States. As you see all of the rallies taking place around the world where he had some contact with people. And that's the vision that I saw when we started the Home Education Foundation, and particularly after Craig died and I had to take it over myself, that one day we would raise up a generation of kids through home education that could really lead the world. And I don't think Charlie Kirk was home educated, but that's the type of person that I hope that we're producing. And I do know that we have had several legislators in Florida who were home educated. We have several in Washington who currently home educate their children. And we see posts, like legislative aides and congressional aides of people that were home educated and are bringing those ideas of our founding fathers to the capitals of our country. And I think that is our biggest goal, to raise up a generation that can stand on their own 2 feet, that are well educated enough they can respond with facts and not anger to somebody who opposes their views.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
It's so sad that we couldn't have a thumb drive and download all of the things that Charlie Kirk knew and implant it. Just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of self-determination, a lot of self-motivation on the parts of the kids. But when you see the kind of impact he's made on people all over the world, it's worth that investment.
I couldn't agree more. Kim says he referred to himself as an autodidactic, went to school but self-educated, wise in spite of his formal education. And she says, I would buy that drive, whatever that is. Yeah, I think a lot of people would. And I think that all of the parents, when we're searching for curriculum, that's what we're trying to do. The truth is, life is its own curriculum. Read, and think for yourself, and teach your children to do the same. Read and think for yourself. You can do that. We can all do that. But we have to slow down enough. We're busy. We're scrolling Facebook constantly, scrolling internet, looking for things, watching videos, entertaining ourselves with video games or movies, or like you said, Brenda, it becomes about whatever interests us that we can jump down into next. And that's fine. You know, that's hey, we all enjoy a good piece of entertainment. But as a culture, we've become so centered on entertainment that the entertainment industry in our society drives how people think. We turn to people from the entertainment industry to help us pick our president. Like, oh, because somebody was in a movie, they know politics and how everybody should govern themselves. Really? That's beyond wild to me, that we place that kind of importance, that the entertainment industry is so invasive into our everyday lives that they're just synonymous with how everybody thinks, and that it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. Think for yourselves. Sit in quiet, contemplate and reflect. My wife and I kind of started a fast this week for a different reason. A friend from our community was given a diagnosis, and so we're fasting and just kind of taking all of the things that were about us and setting them aside, and leaving that empty, and just taking care of the basic needs, and then moving on to life. My kids had a very interesting reaction. Day one, my son comes to me in tears. It's so boring, Dad. It's so boring. I just look outside and I see all the things I could be doing. It's so boring. And I said, yeah, well, I'm not going to make you do this. You're free. You're free to give up. You can quit. You can quit now. You don't have to do it. I'm going to do it. But you don't have to. And he stopped for a minute and he looked at me. And I said, go on. He says, no, I'm not going to quit. I said, okay, that's your choice. If that is your choice, you do need to know I'm going to hold you to it. And then he's like, okay, Dad, okay. But we've got to turn them into people who think for themselves. We've got to put them on the horns of a challenge. At the end of the week, the beautiful thing is my son starts to spit out all the things he learned from this. I realized I didn't have to do that. I realized I could do this. I realized that all the time I was spending doing this, I wasn't even thinking about how I could help Mom or how I could do this or how I could do that. And I just watched his mind flip. What curriculum do you need? There's no curriculum that led us there, right? That's just think for yourselves. You're the parents. You're the teachers. You are the all. You set the standards of what's most important to teach your own children. And in the state of Florida, that is your right by law, and it's protected. Turn your children into free thinkers. Turn them into critical thinkers. Give them a thirst and a knowledge for truth so that they'll want nothing else but that. And then set them up with a work ethic so that their light shines so bright and so brilliant, it becomes very difficult to say negative things about them. But the world will lie. It'll say things. It'll make them up. It did about Charlie, and it will about everybody else. I've been thinking about this. I'm not used to quoting scripture on our podcast, and so, I'm going to do this not as the Home Education Foundation, but just as Jason Crawford. I'm going to say, you're the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? And is it good for nothing but to just be thrown out and trampled? Salt is unique. You don't eat salt. It's not the whole thing, right? It's a seasoning. It's a sprinkling. A very little bit goes a long way. Home education families, you are the salt of the earth. We're not mainstream. We're not mainstream. We're the outliers. We're the do-it-yourselfers. You don't leave public education and then bring public education home. You don't leave that schooling system and then bring that system home and just do the system in a new geographical location. You become salt. You become something else. When you come and you start home educating, you do it in home education ways. Self-governance. It's the ultimate do-it-yourself project in education. I dare say you don't need a curriculum. I dare say you don't need a program or a micro school or a private school or a virtual school or any of the other schools. You just don't need them. Are they useful? Sure. Can they be useful? Yes. Can they produce an outcome that you're looking for? Yes, certainly. Certainly. But always understand that at the very base of it all, you are the parent. They're your children. You can educate them. And that right is the right we fight for. Kim says, I would argue that if the world isn't talking bad about you, you aren't living boldly. Perhaps that's true. Perhaps that's true. Crystal, is there anything you want to add?
Just that I've seen just in this week, and maybe it's my algorithm because I search up things related to home education, but just this week I've seen a surge of notifications because I have on my phone like Google News and other things that like push me random articles. And I've seen a surge of them that are, the easiest way to put it is anti-homeschooling. There really does, it, as a comment on what Kim said, we're doing something that's upsetting people because there is a major pushback against the very thought of home education. They are saying everything from your kids are not going to be equipped to function in the world socially, academically, all of those things that they've always said. But they're finding new angles to come at it too. Like, you're hurting the kids that do need public school because the school's funding is having to shift around, and every angle you can think of. But essentially, they all boil down to a tax on the parents' right to choose something else than the public school system. So the fact that parents are choosing to break free from the system and make their own decisions for their kids is upsetting people, just in and of itself.
Yeah. If the public school is doing such a wonderful job, why are we here? Sue posts and says the Turning Point curriculum for kids is available now for free. Code Education. I didn't know that. She says they are offering a Constitution curriculum and Junior Patriots curriculum for $120 value for free to honor Charlie Kirk, and she posted the link. We'll grab that link and post it elsewhere too. Thank you, Sue, for sharing that, because I didn't know that. I appreciate you. Yeah. Brenda, welcome back.
I didn't move. My computer just phased out.
It's all right. Well, I don't want to say we've exhausted the topic. I hope this topic doesn't die, but I also don't want to. There's a lot of these conversations going around, and perhaps no one will hear this one, and that's perfectly fine. It is what it is. Hug your kids. Get off social media. Put it down. You don't need to see any more videos. You don't even need to see this one. Go spend time with your kids. Go hug them. Go love them. Remind yourself that they're the most important thing in your life. Everything else is great and cool, but life and legacy, truth, these are the most important things. Family. Crystal, let's move towards for the last couple of minutes that we have here, let's move towards some of the kind of housekeeping things. I did mention the Discord. There is there's a new category of channels in there. If you're interested in joining, we are looking for homeschool leaders, parent leaders, co-op, people who do debate programs in your homeschool. Send this video to them. Let them know that they are welcome, that there is no cost for joining this club, the debate club, and I'm very open to ideas, and more than ideas, I'm open to help from people who are interested in helping start or host or moderate or mediate any of the conversations, and kind of give them the guidelines of what we're looking for. And if you're a parent who's been looking for a way to get involved and you just don't know what that looks like or how, this is a great place to start. This is a great place to dive in. And then beyond that, if you're a parent who's concerned and worried, you don't understand, maybe you don't know your rights. Maybe a lot of this has tipped you to some questions, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I really want to take charge of my family and do something. I just don't know how or where to start. Jump in our Discord. There's a great community. We have over 400 families in there, and many are, if not all are very, very welcoming and ready to answer questions that you have about how they've done it for years or what they've been doing that helps, to come alongside you and help give you the confidence. We are there in the Discord server to answer questions about, oh, the county tells me this, or they say I have to do that. Do I have to? What do I have to put together? I'm actually going this Tuesday to speak at a homeschool co-op that asked me to come speak to them to help them with the same kind of information. This is what we do. This is the kind of information we help put out to help parents understand what their rights are, what their freedoms are, what their rights are, and what their responsibilities are in the law, so that they can know and they can, with that knowledge, be confident and move forward. So join our Discord. There is no cost to joining, so it's there. Crystal, Go ahead. I know I asked you to say something and then I just kept rolling. You do,
So just an update on kind of the issues we're seeing talked about by parents. So I've said this before, but I follow a lot of parent groups on Facebook, PEP parent groups, and general Step Up scholarship groups and home education groups. And one thing we're seeing right now is a lot of students, it started with UA, but it's now affecting PEP students as well. They're failing the cross checks and having their funds frozen. So they're not getting funded on the normal timeline because the schools had them recorded incorrectly. And it seems to be, at least from the majority of parents I've spoken with, it seems to be the kids that were enrolled in the schools for sports or extracurriculars. So the schools did not know how to report that in a way that didn't make the kids look like they were registered as public school students. And so there has been a flood of parents with that exact issue where your kid is actually not enrolled in public school. And the schools very often are telling the parents, well, we can't withdraw them because technically they're not a public school student, but we also can't give you something saying they're not enrolled because they're, and then this is the point at which every school seems to have their own term that they're just making up. They're co-enrolled or they're partial enrolled or whatever it is they're calling it at each school for the status of a kid that is just taking part-time, for extracurriculars or doing sports. So if you run into that issue, there is a thread in our Discord specifically for that.
Yes.
And it's kind of hard to find because it's actually under FESUA. So if you find the scholarship section in our Discord and then the FESUA thread, if you hover over that in the menu, it'll pop up sub-threads, and there's a SUFS said I failed the cross-check sub-thread. If you click on that, it started under FESUA because those were the ones that the reports were coming in first because they were funding them first. But the information in that thread is also applicable to PEP students because it gives you instructions of exactly what to say to the school and what documentation you need. If they're saying they cannot withdraw your child, you just need to get that in writing from them in an email or a letter or something, and you can upload that to Step Up. So this is for the parents who have received an email from Step Up saying your child failed the cross-check, essentially.
So let's break that down in very, very simple terms. If you failed the cross-checks or got the email from Step Up for Students or and saying that you had failed the cross-checks, the withdrawal form that's in that email is what you need the school to fill out. If they refuse to fill it out, simply send in an email. The email that they send back to you, refusing to fill it out, they'll typically say something like, your child isn't enrolled full-time in the school, so we can't unenroll them. And then take that email and upload that instead to the same link that you would have filled out the withdrawal form and uploaded it to. So it's a pretty simple process. We've already had parents who've had FESUA who have been through that process, and they've gotten the letters back from Step Up for Students stating that, like, we've got it, you're going to be okay, we're working on processing the funding and getting things released. So everyone's passing the buck here from an accountability standpoint. So when you talk to the districts blame the schools blame the district, everybody's blaming the DOE, blah, blah, blah. It goes round and round and round, and no one says, we'll just give me the form, we'll fix it. And so that's what makes it hard and frustrating for parents. So just speak clearly when you email them. Try to avoid phone conversations because you can't upload a phone conversation. Try to get it as here's the form, send in the email, and then get that response back from them and use that.
Yeah, and if you hop into the Discord, if you run into an issue that we haven't explained yet, you could post your question right there, and we could answer and follow up in a way that other parents can also see in case any of them have the same. So that's why we're trying to send everybody to that Discord thread, because if any new developments happen, we want to be able to have all the information in one place.
Yep.
And so for our people that are, our loyal podcast listeners every week, this is already happening. So thank you to Sarah J and some others. But
Yes.
if you are in a Facebook group and you see this issue, and most of the time you'll see in the comments other parents saying, I have the same issue, I don't know what to do. Please add a comment directing them to our Discord thread, and you can link the exact thread. When you're in the thread, if you like on a computer, if you right click on it, or if you tap on it in a phone, you can get a link that you can post that'll take people directly to that thread. They'll have to sign up for Discord as part of the process, but then once they're logged in, it'll pop them right into that thread. And the Discord is free to join. So we're just trying to get the word out to parents to join that thread, to join the Discord and look at the thread, because that is so much more efficient than answering 100 individual emails with the same information. So.
Yeah. So Laura Brunner says, what precautions should be taken by parents who are in the process of signing up their student for sports to avoid being quote unquote enrolled? None. This is not a fault of the parents or an issue caused by the parent. This is an issue caused by the school. As a parent, your student has a right to participate in sports and athletics and interscholastic and intrascholastic extracurricular activities at the public schools. And it's in 1006.15 called the Craig Dickinson Act, and exercise that right. You can do that.
And so, if I understand correctly, this should not be happening on an ongoing basis, because the DOE is following up with the schools that this has happened with and making sure that the employees at that district get the training on how to actually code these students in their system. So
unfortunately, this is essentially one of those things where we're like, all right, we put the system together, now let's run water through it and see where the holes are. And then things start popping out and we go, okay, we got to fix that one, and that one. And while it does suck to be one of those, issues that gets passed up or around, they are helpful. Know that they are helpful, and know that when you pass your issue in to us, or you put your name on a list with us and we get them to look into it, that it is extremely helpful and helping us identify where the miscommunications were happening and what code or process was not followed correctly, etc. So it is nothing, I think, will future-proof the system, especially since changes constantly get made to it. But it is extremely helpful, and your patience is very much appreciated, and we are working diligently to help.
Let me just say that one reason they're running into this is the schools do have to enroll the student so that the student is covered by insurance under the, operating with the schools. So it's not a fault of the school that your child is enrolled. The problem is they don't know how to code it. There's no number for it. Somebody didn't anticipate this problem and give the schools heads up on how to code these kids differently than those that are full-time enrolled. So I would just say, as much as I hate that UA parents are being caught in this, because I know how important the funds are for those kids. Like Jason said, it's just a cumbersome thing that DOE is trying to deal with. So I'm sorry that you're not getting your funds, but I think they'll get it cleared up.
You said something that made me think of something, and now I can't remember what it was. Part of the issue is also that when we use different words for the same thing, or that one word means different things, like enroll or homeschool versus home education, where you're a homeschool student. Well, PEP homeschools too, and so there's just a lot of words that we use that tend to kind of not make it clearer or distinct. And so when those words are part of systems that then things get put into or passed up and it's not clear, and then on that big bulk list gets handed over, that ultimately is where things are. So I've also been having conversations with people behind the scenes about what is the information that is needed, and is there a different way that these could be categorized or coded, and we're looking for ways to kind of help them troubleshoot behind the scenes. So if you're in the Discord, or if you're not in the Discord, hop in the Discord and help us, kind of gather the information. And then if you're in a community that, you're working with people and they're giving you their information, that's great. The most important things to also remember as you go through this is that there are a need for receipts. It's very difficult to pass a phone conversation up and say, so-and-so talked to so-and-so, talked to so-and-so. Okay, where's the copy of that? I talked to so-and-so on the phone, and it does not really that easy to follow up on. That makes it very challenging to kind of narrow in on how to hold accountable, or where the policy fell or process fell apart, etc. So keep in mind that emails in a lot of those situations are good to have. They're good to have because they inform the process. I don't have anything else, and we do.
I have one more.
Okay.
I have one more quick thing to add. This is again to the parents who are listening to this and kind of are in the know. If you see new scholarship recipients struggling, I've seen a flood of posts in a lot of the scholarship groups of just confusion with how it works. Why didn't I get my funds immediately on September 1st? Direct them to the handbooks, the purchasing guides, or explain to them that there's a delay between when Step Up gets the funds released and when. Just be welcoming and be kind, but also please direct them to us as an accurate source for information, because I see a lot of this happens every year at the start of the school year when there's a flood of new scholarship recipients. There's just a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of people answering questions that are just contributing to further confusion. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, that is that the end of that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I don't have anything additional to that. There are other issues that have been going on that we've been working on as well, not just those, but those are in our Discord, and a lot of those are happening. So if you do run into any of those, let us know. It's been a wild ride. There's a lot still going on. Committee meetings should be coming up soon. I believe they've gotten their assignments now, so a lot of that's about to start kicking off, because I believe session starts in January. I believe this time around. So be looking out for more of that information to come. And Brenda, as always, you get final say for the day. What would you like to wrap us up with?
Just so thankful for the parents that want to join us and support the work that we do here year round. And you're looking at the staff. I just want to say we don't have a huge team of people. I'm so grateful that Jason and Crystal are splitting the work here, which is so much work. And because Jason is trying to automate as much as he can and bring in as much help as possible, we really do need parents to step up. And if this movement, the home education movement, is important to you, we need people to volunteer and participate.
Absolutely. Yeah, we even save money. I cut my own hair. We pinch it all. We make everything stretch. Thank you for that, Brenda. I appreciate that. We're going to go to our sponsors one more time. Thank you to our parents, Parents for the Free State of Florida, for supporting the Home Education Foundation. Thank you to Arete, FPEA, Fisher Precious Metals, and TBHC Group. It has been the HEF podcast for Monday, September 15th, 2025, and we thank you guys for joining us.